Hello everybody, I'm Sam here. You're welcome to Engineers Planet. I have started the question and answer series. We will cover all the questions and all the subjects of civil engineering. As a civil engineer or architect, hopefully it will boost our knowledge and confidence. So let's start from the session 1. So this session it will include all the questions and answers, and some questions maybe they need the explanation, so we will provide also the explanation. So let's start from the question number 1. So the question number 1, it says how much should be the glass area in a window in a room. So for example, I will explain you here. For example, this is the room area, okay, floor area of the room is a floor area. So here is the window. So how much should be the area of the window? Okay, now here it should not be less than 15% of the floor area. Okay, so for let's take an example. Okay, let's take an example so we can easily understand. So for example, here we have a room here 3 by 4 meter. Okay, so the area of the room is 12 square meters. Okay, now the 15% of the 12 square meter, that will be 1.8 square meter. So it means the area of the windows, it should not be less than 1.8 square meter. So whenever you are going to construct or design the rooms, so your window area, it should not be less than 15% of the floor area. I hope you got this. It's clear now. Okay, so let's move now for question number 2. The question number 2, it says the portion of the wall on which the end of an arch rests is known as, for example, we have this arch now on the top side, and this is the vertical member on which the arch it rests. Okay, so for example, I just normally drop this one. So this arch it rests on this member. What is the name? What it is called? What is the name of the member? So the answer is it's called abutment. Okay, so for example, in this image you can see the load, it's going down to abutment, and also in this picture it's clearly shown that on the both sides we have abutment. So it's called abutment, where the arch it's resting on this member. Now let's move on question number 3. Now in question number 3, in any case the bearing of a lintel, it should not be less than. So first of all, let's understand what's the bearing. Bearing is called where the lintel is resting on the wall. So this area of the lintel, it's called bearing. Okay, on the both sides you can see it's resting on a wall here. So this is called the bearing of the lintel. So the correct answer is it should not be less than 15 centimeter. Okay, so for example, when you are making the lintel here, so it should be at least and not less than 15 centimeter on resting on the wall on the both sides. If you want to go for more than, you can keep more, so that's good, but it will be also, it will cause the expenses, more material, but you cannot go less than 150 mm. So that's 15 centimeter. You cannot go less than 15 centimeter. Okay, now let's move on another question number 4. In the question number 4, the wall constructed along the slope to protect the slope of cutting from the adverse effect of atmosphere or cold. You see, maybe you have seen in different roads, in hill roads, we already make this wall. This you see in the incline at one side, and other side, if you can see, this is actually on the back side, it will be vertical. Okay, So the purpose of this wall is only to resist the slope cutting. You can see in the question, to protect the slope cutting, because if there will be the raining or something, so the roads can cut and it will fall on the road. So what that wall is called? What is the name of this wall? So the correct answer is it's called as breast wall. You can see also in this picture, I make this one. So this wall is called the breast wall, and there is actually the small difference between the breast wall and the retaining wall, which we cover in the next topic. Okay, so what is the difference? And because the structural difference is not much, but only the purpose is different. For the retaining wall, there is a different purpose, and for the breast wall, there is the another purpose. Okay, so we will discuss about the retaining wall in coming sessions. So let's move on the next question. That's question number 5. To protect the top of the parapet wall from the action of the rain water, it is provided with a special course, and that course is known as, for example, if you can see in this picture, this wall, it's called the parapet wall. Okay, normally we build this parapet wall on the roof, and the last, like a penthouse on the last floor, we make it on the roof, this parapet wall. So actually there is one procedure, one course is applied on the top to protect the rain to go inside. So because that if the rain will fall on this one, and later in future it will cause the dampness in this structure. So we use one course. What is the name of that course? So that course is called coping. Okay, that course is called coping. When we build the wall of any structure like a concrete or brickwork, and after that we use this metallic cope to cover this area, so the rain will not fall directly on the top of the structure. So after coping, if the rain will fall there, so it will go on the both sides, but so there will not be dampness. It will not cause any dampness in the structure. Okay, now let's move on another question. The question number 6. The bearing capacity of a soil depends on. So, for example, we are making this bearing capacity test. If you have seen on the site, if you are a site engineer, so you can normally see for the load bearing test, we use some reaction for the load like this heavy equipment, and we put the equipment here to check out the bearing of the soil. So the bearing of the soil, it depends on the size of footing. So normally, for example, in some locations, if the bearing of the soil is less, and in that case, we need to increase the size of the footing. And it depends when the designer he design it and he knows the existing bearing of the soil, and in that case we will increase the area of the footing to spread the load in the more area. Okay, so the bearing of the soil, it normally depends on the size of the footing. If bearing is less, so it means the footing area will increase. Okay, so now let's move on the next question. That is question number 7. So the question number 7, it says the structure subjected to uplift due to the hydrostatic pressure or anchored down by. So for example, we have a structure here, and if you are making it underground structure or on the ground, and there is one hydrostatic pressure, earth has some hydrostatic pressures, if especially if it's in some wet areas, and if you are, for example, you are constructing the water tank, and sometimes the water tank is empty, so or even if it's full. So there is one force, that is hydrostatic pressure. So hydrostatic pressure, it sometimes try to lift the structure. So in that case, what type of anchor we are using, what type of support we are using to hold the structure in the proper place. So in that condition, we use the tension pile, or you can say anchor pile. Anchor pile or tension pile is the same, it's in the inclined direction. Okay, and we use this around the structure, so the it will resist the structure from uplifting. So if you can see here, is the anchor pile. So how we are making this piling, so it's all about this related tension pile or anchor pile. But in our question, for example, if you go on the previous question, the structure subject to uplift due to hydrostatic pressure or anchored by, it's anchored by tension pile or anchor pile. And tension pile or anchor pile is always in the inclined direction. So today we have completed 7 questions from this session 1. If you have any doubt or you want to share your experience, you can write it in the comments below. Until then, take care and keep learning. See you in next session number 2.